Good afternoon here, folks. So, so, hi, how you doing? So, hi, how you doing? I gotta turn my audio off up there. So what I have here today is the sort of bare bones assembly of the old CubeXDuo. It's a pretty old machine. It's from 2013, as you guys can see in the text at the top of the screen there here. And what we have is what we want to do is create a new printer on this. I've taken off all of the proprietary parts, all of the main board is gone, the hot end is completely off of there, and the extruders, everything, and we have just essentially the mechanics of the whole frame, which is pretty nice. So we're going to go ahead and adapt all of this to serve as a new RepRap printer that we're designing here. And that term, for those of you who are unaware, is usually just a word that refers to, making your own 3D printer with sort of these, off-the-shelf parts like the main board here, and then a standardized hot end and things that are a little bit less proprietary that we can work with a bit easier. And in fact, what I've already done with this unit is installed the main board that I'm going to go with, which is which down there is a main board from Big Tree Tech. We're going to talk about that in a later cast, but what we're going over here right now is just getting this bed frame assembly accommodated to mount what we have here, which is the heated bed mount of a CR10, and this is a pretty standardized component. So what I'm going for here essentially is minimal firmware modification necessary. So basically make as many of the parts of this 3D printer into a CR10 as I can, including the hot end up here, which I in fact have one of as well. And then we also have the ability with this main board to have this really sweet upgraded display for the touch screen, which is going to work out really nicely. And it's meant to be sold as an upgrade to CR10 and other printers that use this particular mainboard setup. And so when I have the CR10 bed in here, and then also the hot end, then the only modification of the firmware I'll necessarily need to make will probably be obviously something with the Z rod being completely different. So we'll learn about that and how to do that later. And what I have here, if you can see with my overhead camera, is the thermistor of the heat bed is right in the middle there. It is inset into the thickness of the material, so it's not like especially exposed, but what is exposed is these little two solder joints. So we need to be mindful of that. We see that this bed piece has 4 holes in the side of it, or in the corners of it, right? I'm going to turn it over for you guys. And you can also see that on this side, maybe you can't see, but these holes here on the corners, these are countersunk. And what we have here is a rather thick piece, right? So what we're going to do is we want this silver side to be facing up, right? And then these countersunk screws, fit that down onto there, okay? And we want that to be there like that. Now something that occurs to me, obviously, is that what I see here on this frame assembly, I don't know if you guys can see it. Yeah, you sure can. In the corners here, there's one there. There's one here. There's 3 points. I've covered one. This is the third, right here. There's 3 points on this bed frame assembly as is. And underneath here, you can adjust the tension of these 3 points. And that's how you adjust the tram of your bed right here, which I like that design, So I want to sort of maintain the integrity of that with the modification that I make. And of course, the first thing I notice when I put this bed here is that it necessarily covers the front of those 3 points. Okay, so that's something we need to be mindful of. And then, of course, each of the 4 points that we attach here as well, we want to make sure that the plane of this silver here is parallel to the plane of this piece right here. We don't want this all tilted on one corner or even by a little bit. And the fact that this is 4 points instead of 3 is also a little bit more complicating of things. There's in fact 3 points that define a plane, and when you have a fourth point, then you're talking about these 2 planes that need to be the same plane, and or more than 2, right? But anyway, so what I need is for the distance of each of these 4 to be the same, right? So that the whole thing is parallel. So that means if I put, like, say, washers between it, those washers all need to be the same thickness, okay? Now, another thing to be mindful of is as I look at the bottom of this, right, if I have washers on there, see, this black area is getting hot, okay? And, in fact, if I have washers on the bottom of that, it'll conduct heat off of that and basically make it not as good for my top to heat in the way that I want. So I'm not going to put a big, metal washer at those 4 corners, certainly. Okay, so what else does that leave me with? I can do some kind of like plastic standoffs, maybe. Those need to be exactly the same thickness each. Okay, or I can create some kind of plate on here, right? And with that plate, I can simply screw the 4 corners down in by the same amount, measure them with my caliper to make sure there's a same thickness all around, and tighten the screws accordingly to make sure that that's the case. And then perhaps, I think I can keep those screws in there. In any case, what I've decided to that end, to do that thing, is in fact, I'm going to use a plate of wood. It is a piece of plywood, you see, and it's pretty flat. It's very flat, in fact, and that's exactly what I need. I need it for it to be very flat, extremely flat, right? And I need it to be the same thickness at each of these 4 points that the bed's going to attach there. And I need for my cat not to be in front of the camera. Excuse me, buddy. Move. Move. Move out. Move. Yeah. Sorry, guys. So we have with the plate, this wooden piece here. What we're going to do is we're going to attach this wooden plate to the bed frame assembly right here. Now, of course, again, we're going to remember that we're covering this front of those 3 points. Excuse me, cat. Move. Move. Get down. Move. Thank you. Move. So, the front of these points right here, we need to make sure that covering it is not going to be a problem, because it probably will be if we don't take some kind of precautions or prepare things in a different way. So what I'm thinking is that what we should do, perhaps, is cause this front one here, okay, to be fixed in. Not fixed in that we can't adjust it. In fact, we'll be able to adjust it. But what I'm saying is, the way it works presently is there's a nut underneath it, right? And on the top, we have this Allen, head. And what one does to adjust these is you take your socket or your little wrench and you grip the nut under here, and then with the top, you put your Allen in there to keep that in place while you turn it and adjust it. Now, I think what I can do, I'm thinking, is if I take this out a little bit, by a little bit I mean take the nut off of there, or perhaps even just, I don't actually need to adjust it. What I can do is I can push it down like this, and in there I can see between the countersunk head and the countersunk cut spot in the bed frame piece there. So what I think I want to do is I want to prepare a very, very very strong glue, a two-part epoxy perhaps, like a JB Weld material. And with a toothpick, I'm going to go ahead, clamp this down. I'm going to get it in between the head of the screw there and the countersunk spot there. So essentially, what that's going to do is that's going to permanently affix the screw head to the top of the thing there, to the bed frame plate. And essentially, that will mean you don't need to put the top on like that with both to adjust it. You just need to screw the nut at the bottom. So that's one of the things we're going to do here in just a moment. Excuse me. And then let me get some of my water here. And then we also have we also have to adjust the wooden piece here, because if we just put this on here, and then we also put the plate like that, what we'll have is the middle is going to sort of crush the solder joints there. So we need to basically, with our Dremel, sort of cut out a little nub in the middle, just a little divot. And then also, we need to be mindful of the fact that as I put this on here, you see what I have is this whole spot right here, which is kind of, that's not good. I can't have that. So I'm going to also cut out a small little chip of that right there. So with this on here like this, or perhaps let me look at it the other way. So this perpendicular direction. What I can do is, I think this is better. So I'm going to mark this with a pen. And the marking that I make is essentially just going to allow me to cut out a spot for this little connector here. So that, there, and how far in does it need to go? Well, let's sort of examine that. I can use this camera for that, perhaps. And what we see here, this much, that, like up to there, perhaps. Alright, so we just sort of very roughly marked in pen, a little spot that we want to chip out to allow the connector to sit in a spot where it's not going to be crunched. So that there, and then write something sort of in the middle, right here. Like, say, that kind of area. So that's what we're going to do here with this. We have our Dremel out, in fact. And we can do that in just a moment. I think I have the camera over here now, so that I can do perhaps this first. Okay. I'm going to grab my epoxy material. And I'm going to grab a toothpick with which to apply it. A few toothpicks. And then we're going to get a scrap piece of paper to mix upon There we go. There we go. Right there. And of course, I'm gonna wear my gloves. And of course, because this stuff can be kind of gross smelling. So, here we go. Gonna get our gloves on. Actually, I had preheated this just a moment ago. I'm gonna go ahead and remove. I need to go ahead and take the filament out of this printer here, you guys. So I've done the remove function. It is out. And then I take all of that. It comes out. I get another roll. Yep, we have a bunch of gray still. So we're going to put another scrap roll of gray in there. Whoop. Go ahead and load this up. So the printer, there we go. Another load, and it is being drawn in. There we go. And there we go. I see it coming out of the hot end, purging the previous material. It looks clean. I grab it away. Close the filament control window. Click on print. Face shield. Let's do 2 more of those. We did just finish, in fact, a bag of 10. So, alright. So what we have here is our JB Weld material. For those of you who haven't worked with this stuff, it's just this like 2-part material that you mix together in equal parts, and it is extremely strong, and you can hold metal together with it, all sorts of things. So this hopefully will do the job of being able to permanently affix the underside of that screw head into its countersunk socket. And we have also our other printer singing to us that it has finished. So we're going to let that go because the bed needs to cool down for the wolf bite that's attached to it to release. The wolf bite on the glass bed is a special glue that is heat activated, so it becomes hot when the bed is hot. It becomes sticky when the bed is hot, and when it cools down, it will release and no longer become sticky. So while it's hot, it's essentially glued to the glass, and then as it cools, it releases itself from the glass, which is pretty interesting to hear, because you can hear it kind of flexing as it bows and cools. And it's designed to release it from the glass, not by the time that it's completely cooled, because by then the full stress of that bowing has been applied to the glass plate, and it can fail to detach, causing it to look like it's actually ripped a piece of the glass out, like a chip in the glass. So you can damage your glass that way if your wolf bite fails to release, if you use the wrong wolf bite, the wrong material. So for ABS, the ABS formula works especially well, and I'm really excited by that. And I've made way too much JB Weld material, in fact, so that's a bit wasteful. Excuse me. I'm going to try to get this under here. I guess I can be very liberal with it, given that I have so much, huh? Okay. So we're grabbing pieces of it. We're pushing the bed down. Okay. We do want to wipe up extra stuff. We're not trying to make like a glob. I mean, we'll still have to probably sand it, but you know, we're not trying to make a complete mess, right? Just really get a lot of this in here. Okay. All right. So, our toothpick application, I think, is complete. I'm going to start kind of dabbing up excess here a bit. I'm thinking, do I care if the screw head center becomes stuck up with this glue here, this JB Weld material? I don't think so, because, you know, this thing's going to be covered. So fuck it, huh? Excuse me. Alright, so that looks all quite covered, okay? But around the side here, there's a whole bunch. Let me try to dab up. It's not even like on there. Okay. Still gonna kind of clean up a little bit more around. Okay. Gonna get a new paper towel here. I think I've maybe taken away a bit too much. Let me see if I can move some over here. There. Okay. Seems nice. Okay. It's a bit cleaner. Yeah. Okay. So we've JB welded this one little screw head joint. And yeah, it looks good. It's not like it's anywhere it doesn't need to be. It's like it's everywhere it needs to be. So we're going to go ahead and hope that that is sufficient to do what we need to do. Meanwhile, we can go ahead and modify the wood piece. So we're going to go ahead and get our JB Weld tubes back in here. And we'll go ahead and throw these toothpicks in the bag here with it, just because it'll be nice to have those around. I won't have to go get them when I need to use them next. So we put that back there. We've got our garbage here. Step there. Alright. So this JB Weld material, we're not going to use that. Probably. Can't see us using it, but still. I'm just going to put it there. Get my gloves off. I'm going to cover the JB Weld spot with my gloves. Alright. So that doesn't have to be so stinky. Alright. So we have a bit of stuff on here. We're just going to get that off of there. Now, we do see that there are these rubber standoffs that exist on there. And to get the wooden plate on here, what we're going to do essentially is just come up through these holes here like this and screw the wooden plate in place with those 3 points and tighten those, you know, the same amount, those 3 points. We'll cover this point. We'll have these 2 points available to adjust in the old-fashioned. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I did a lot of JB Weld material. I kind of want to just do these, but I think I'll leave them undone and leave them to be adjusted as they are. Alright, so our wood we have over here. We've got our Dremel, which we plug in back here on a power strip. back here on a power strip. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the flash forge here because it's cooling down anyway. It doesn't even need to be on if it's just cooling its bed for the ABS wolf bite to release. Alright, so we have our piece available here. Now that chip is kind of a big chip to take out with a Dremel, I'm thinking. So perhaps what I want to do is use a saw, okay? And I have a few saws, in fact. I do have a keyhole saw that you use like for doorknobs and stuff. So perhaps that's what I'll use here at this moment. I have this sort of hand saw, this little thing you can flip out, and it's just like a saw like this, like a giant knife. I mean, the saw works pretty well. You know what? This is actually going to be what I use. This little thing right here. So what I do is come over here, and I might want to use a clamp. Yeah, to get that attached to my workspace. That's what I'm going to do. So I have my clamps. More than one. We're not just going to use one clamp, huh? A couple of them here. So this to the table. So we open up this clamp a bit. Get this onto there. And wow, the clamp is still not nearly open enough. Alright, so we need to go way more. Alright, so the clamp is basically all the way open. You can use it for this here. Sure, yeah. Alright, it doesn't need to be all the way open. It needs to be more like this. Alright. So that's our first clamp. Is that going to go on nicely? Pretty nicely. Alright. So let's attach this clamp here. So we clamp that to there. And then this other clamp, we use it also to attach this here. And the clamp we shut there. I also have this giant clamp. And, you know, is that necessary? Probably not, but it makes me feel better that this big one's on there, right in the middle. There we go. And perfect. Alright, so all three of those are on there. And what we're going to do is we're just going to come down here. There we go. I've cut about 3/4 of an inch down to that pen line mark that I made. I'm going to cut parallel to that. Ow. Oh, that's pointy. Let's pick at it with the sawtooth there first. Alright. So I've made the two parallel cuts there. Now what I need to do is, you know, completely take that out. So, what I'm going to start to do here, I guess, is cut at an angle. then maybe I can like pry that out with my pliers. We'll see. So open the pliers to the large, and then get that. Yeah. All right. So I can sort of like break off those little chips. Okay. This needs to be bisected into two sub chips here. We're gonna go ahead and do that. So we cut straight down into here. Okay. So cut that down there. And then we go ahead and break off this chip and this bit as well. Alright. So of course that looks very rough. This is what we have our Dremel for. To do sort of like the touching up. Make it look nice. Alright. So with our Dremel, you know, I should have been wearing eye protection while I was doing that sawing. But certainly for the Dremel, I'm going to put on these protective goggles here. But I have to take off my headset first. Alright, so we've got our eye protection on. We've got our Dremel here. I don't need the cutting tool head of the Dremel. I need the sanding bit. So go ahead and switch that out. Right here. Press the key there to be able to undo the collet. The cutting tool comes out. Got the sanding tool, goes in. And then I tighten the collet down. Okay, so that's in there. So now I can turn this on. And go ahead and get this sanded down. Okay, the sanding bit is actually kind of weak. Doesn't feel like it does a lot. Maybe I just need to run it faster. Well, the sanding tool still seems quite weak, but seems to be doing more or less what I'm looking for here. So I'm just going to work with it. There we go. Until I get it a little bit nicer looking. I mean, it's still kind of uneven. There we go. That's a bit better. Alright, whatever. So that, right there, that's for the little chipped out spot where the connector's going to go. There we are. And now, actually sand like a divot into here. I need this other kind of bit than that barrel one. I need this like, it looks like a bullet shape. And it has sort of like a tip to it, right? A rounded tip. And with that, I'll be able to sort of modify the middle here with this divot that I need for it to have, right? And I'm just going to be very rough with that. Okay. I'm going to kind of just cover the whole area with this divoting here. Just do a whole bunch. Now, probably better to have it right in the middle. Okay. All right. So that looks pretty good, I think. Let me go ahead and wipe my face there. All right. So let's see how this piece fits onto the heat bed now with its modifications. So in the middle, we have that sort of dugout spot. And we also have the space here where that's cut out. Let's see. So the cutout space looks pretty good, I guess. What do we got here in the middle? Yeah, in fact, our little middle approximate there. That looks pretty good. Very nice. So now that we know that this will attach onto here, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and at these 3 points attach the wooden plate to the bed frame assembly there. Of course, we want to make sure that the rubber stoppers here are removed. Those don't need to be there. I'm trying to get this thing flat on there, right? So we're going to go ahead and make sure that I'm thinking actually of maintaining the rubber stoppers on there. What would that allow me to do if I did that? Well, I could probably remove the wood plate and access this if I need to. Of course, I can do that if I screw the wood in the bottom on those points. But what I want to do now is, if I screw them now, this JB weld, which is not yet finished, as it finishes, it'll glue that plate, the wood there, to there. And that's what I want to avoid for now. So I don't want to actually put the plate on here. I can certainly take away the rubber pieces. And the plate itself, I'm not so fond of how it looks with this like wood look anyway. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare it with some paint. And I'm just going to make the whole thing black. And so this whole black thickness right here will be between, you know, the heated bed and the bed frame assembly there. And as I look at it, painting it black, I don't see anything that looks like it's going to be a problem. Of course, I only need to paint probably some of the bottom and then all the edges. I don't need to paint the whole top surface because that's going to have the heated bed just screw down onto it in place. And it's not going to be necessary to paint it at all. So we're not going to. We're just going to paint around the edges here and then some around the bottom. I guess what we can do is with our pen indicate along the bottom here exactly sort of how much in we should do. I'm going to look under here. Oh, hey there. So like this. Oop, that thing's on my head still. And then on the other side, I'm going to sort of mark it similarly. So like that. And this, and this, and this. Alright. And then around the back. There. How does that go? There. Alright. So what we've done is marked on the underside of here all of
marked on the underside
that,
of here,
which needs to be painted. It's pretty rough, right? You can sort of see like this here, like this here, and then like that. You know how to over here, and then this. It's like this. And it comes around here, sort of like that. It comes around here, and there. This out to there. Essentially just out to there. So there we go. A very rough marking for the paint. And we're just going to paint this sort of sloppily just here like that. In fact, I may be able to do it right here in front of you guys on stream with the setup as it is. So let me go ahead and grab the paint that I'm going to use. Of course, I'll use another pair of gloves here. And take off my my top there. Here's our paint. We need a paint brush. Oh, I know what I can use. So I have a foam brush in this kit here. I'm going to use that foam brush on there. Of course, we also have our gloves again. And I'm going to lay down some paper. So the paper that we have here is going to cover the bed frame assembly so we don't get paint everywhere. So we take this away for the moment. Brush the wood. And we lay down this paper. One paper. There we go. Alright. So we cover everything with the paper. We get our piece of wood here. Get our paint. We get our second glove on. And open up the paint. Think. Maybe we need a tool, huh? What was this? Sure. That looks like it works. Just gotta go around with it. Alright. Have our black paint here. And we're going to stir it up just a little bit. Probably should have shaken it a little bit before I opened it, but shaken it? Yeah. That's what I should have done, is shaken it. So, again, it's not so critical that it look completely great. just that it covers little spots that we needed to here, like that. So all the way out to there. It's a little thin. I'm gonna apply a little bit more. The thicker coat. There we go. There we are. There. And then here. We're gonna try it along the front. I don't want to get any paint on the rails, certainly. Just want to avoid bringing the brush over the rail. I'm not gonna do that. Okay, we got that. Painted pretty well, I guess. That all in there. Whoop. I went over the rail. That was a no-no. So we got the front as well. The front edge of the wooden piece. Can go ahead and make sure that looks nice. There is a spot in the wood. Damn. I should have gone over with plaster with the spackle. But just get paint in there. Huh. Alright, so top of this looks pretty good. We gotta do the left side. So the left side over here. This. Perfect. Sort of come across the back there. Doesn't need to be much. That's way more than I need even. Okay, perfect. Looks good. Okay, now the other edges here. The whole left edge surface here of the wood, and then the right as well. Need to go over them. So it's a little bit easier for me to get to the right side. I'm gonna do that one first. So the right side. It'll probably be stuck with paint to this paper. What we're gonna do is wait for this to dry, and then we're gonna turn it over. By then there'll be paper stuck to it. We'll pick it off, and we'll do the other side with a layer to sort of cover the tape or the paper, and then also to sort of finish it on that side as well. So the whole left side, not quite done. I'm going to come over onto the right side here, and touch it up. I sort of covered everything, but, I want it to look even and kind of nice. Try to make it not look like a piece of wood. So, we'll see how that right side comes out. Looks pretty even. Everything pretty nice. This along the top. Yeah. Looks pretty good. We're going to touch up the front edge a little bit. It needs a little bit more. So we're going to do that. There we go. Now, finally, along the left edge, we're going to go ahead and come in here. This. And we're going to get this side. Ooh, there's a lot here. Dip that paint in there. Gather up just a bit more. And the whole left side looks to be covered pretty well. I'm going to go ahead and even things out on the side as well. This spot needs just a little bit more. Perfect. Spread that across there. And make sure the whole top is even. I've wiped away some. Let me go ahead and add back a bit just in the middle. There we go. Alright. Now there's nothing along the back edge actually. There we go. That's much easier, huh? Let's go ahead and sort of touch this up however much it needs. I don't think it needs much. Basically we're only covering, this is the underside that we see face up right now. We're covering essentially the underside that will be visible, that won't be screwed into a piece of wood or attached to the metal bed frame underneath. So that's essentially the outline of the metal bed frame that you see there, with a bit of a how do you say, a margin of extra. All right. So looks like I'm done with my paint. I'll go ahead and throw away my brush and some of these paper towels. And the cap, the paint back. There we go. Whoop! I don't want to press down. That's my bed frame assembly. There we go. Press down on there. And we have a little bit of running paint on the paper. I think I'm going to go ahead and try to just dab some of that up so it's not going to run completely off. There we go. Yeah, it looks smeared, but stops the running, huh? I think that's, yeah, alright. So, go ahead and wipe my face here too. Goodness, it's warm here. Alright, so our bed frame plate is prepared, and we are ready to turn it over and do the other side. Finish it with some paint on the other side as well. And then we will attach it via screws underneath to have it in place to take the CR10 heated bed that we have on standby here and ready to go. So it looks like we need a few things to happen here. We need for our paint to dry, and then we also need for that JB Weld spot in the middle to completely harden. So that means we're going to come back to this tomorrow and pick it up from there. All right. I'm going to go ahead and end my stream now. Thanks for watching, you guys, and tune in for more updates.